back to my channel. We are going to do an updated book review. So I finished the book that I read, that I said I was going to start in my last book review video, and then we will talk about what I'm currently reading. So I was able to get through The Witches of Halloween. The first book was The Witch of Halloween House. The second book is called The Witches of Halloween Haven. It was really good. This author writes really well. It's an easy read. I'm somebody that's just gotten back into reading, so I think if you are an avid reader, you could probably read this book in one sitting, or probably a sitting and a half. Probably wouldn't take you very long. It's an easy read. His books are easy, at least from the two that I've read. They're easy to get into. I will say I liked the first book a little bit better, but that tends to happen with books in sets or series. Generally, the first couple are better. Not that this was bad, but if I was going to pick a favorite, I think I liked the first book a little bit more. The story dynamic changes a little bit. In the first book, you have the brother and sister as the focal points, and then, stuff's happening to the town. The dad's the sheriff, all the parents, there's things happening to all the parents. So in this book, there's a little bit of a split. The brother has a story going on, and then the daughter and the dad have a story going on. I mean, they collide, they are running parallel with one another, but there's not a lot of scenes with her brother, except in the beginning and towards the end of the book. So it was just a little bit different dynamic, I think. And then there's more witches in this book than there was in the first book, so, which wasn't a bad thing. The things that they do to the town change a little bit. So it was interesting. They were interesting stories. They were well written, easy to read, easy for me to get into once I gave it a chance. Talking about the first book. So yeah, definitely recommend. Again, I will try and link these down below. I did link them in my last video, so I will try and remember and link his books. Again, and then he has other books, I think, that are about haunted houses. I'm interested in getting another book from him, so if that says anything. And then I decided to not start in a dark room. I talked about that a couple videos ago, that was a newer book that I had purchased, but I decided to start reading. It's called Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. Hopefully that is how you pronounce her name. This is pretty popular, and I've seen a lot of reviews on this book. When did this come out? This is a newer book, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. When was this written? 2023. So yeah, this is a new book. She wrote Hide. I have not read anything else by this author. This is the only book. Normally I get stuff on thrift books. This was sold out, so I think I got this on Amazon, I think, which is where I purchased this book. But I think this guy is self-published, and he's only available on Amazon, or probably through his own website. This is, you could get this in Barnes & Noble. It's an interesting story. If you're not familiar with it, I will read the synopsis to you. Let's see. In the 30 years since a tragic accident shut down production of the classic children's program Mr. Magic, the 5 surviving cast members have done their best to move on. But just as generations of cultishly devoted fans still cling to the lessons they learned from the show, the cast, known as the Circle of Friends, have spent their lives searching for the happiness they felt like while they were on it. The friendship, the feeling of belonging, and the protection of Mr. Magic. But with no surviving video of the show, no evidence of who directed or produced it, and no records of who or what the beloved host actually was, memories are all the former Circle of Friends have. Then a twist of fate brings the castmates back together at the remote desert filming compound that feels like it's been waiting for them all this time. Even though they haven't seen each other for years, they understand one another better than anyone has since. After all, they're the only ones who hold the secret of that circle, the key to the mystery of the Magic Man in his infinitely black cape, and maybe the answers to what really happened on that deadly last day. But as the Circle of Friends reclaim parts of their past, they begin to wonder, Are they here by choice, or have they been lured into a trap? Because magic never forgets the taste of your friendship. And I guess there was a kid in the cast that disappeared, from what I've heard in people's reviews of the book. And I'm assuming that's the character that you start out with, because I'm only a couple of chapters in. I read 2 chapters, so I'm on page 35. So the chapters are a little bit lengthy, but they don't feel like they're that long when you're reading it. And it starts off with a girl named Val, and I'm going to assume, again, I'm only 2 chapters in, so I don't think I'm going to be giving much away, that she was the missing cast member who's, I think fans probably thought was deceased, but she's not. Well, she has no memories of being on the show. Her father passes away in the very beginning, and then 2 of the cast members show up, and she knows them, but she doesn't remember why she knows them, and she decides she's going to go with them to the reunion, because there's a company that's putting together a podcast of, you know, reminiscing about old episodes, and they are able to get the cast together for reunion episodes. So that's the premise of the book. You know, she's going on this journey. You know, why doesn't she remember? What was her father hiding? So far it's good. Like I said, I'm only 2 chapters in, so hopefully that doesn't give too much away. But it sounded like an interesting concept, and the television show, I think took place in the 80s, so there's some 80s nostalgia, which is why I picked this up. It's one of my favorite. It is my favorite decade, so that's what kind of drew me in. And it's an interesting concept, because I grew up watching Barney and Friends and Lamb Chop, so this is very reminiscent of that. So that's what I'm reading. I said, hopefully, this is a larger book for me. How many pages is this? With the epilogue, we are at 288, so not quite 300. And what was this? I feel like that's important. If you're an avid reader, it probably doesn't matter. But for me, 255. So it's a little bit shorter. I think it's a little bit larger print. But that's what I decided to read. And then we'll see what I decide to pick up after. But wish me luck. Hopefully I can get through it. Like I said, it sounds like an interesting concept. It's had good reviews. I don't know that I've heard anybody necessarily talk about it negatively. So high hopes. Let me know if you've read anything else by this author, if there's anything else that you would recommend by her that I read. I don't know if Hyde and this are her only 2 books. I have not looked her up yet. I'll have to see how I feel after. But if you've read stuff from her, and there's something that you would recommend, leave those down below. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I figured I would do it this way every time I finish a book and then start a book. My short-term memory is not great right now. And while it's aesthetically pleasing to have a whole stack of books, oh, I read these this month, I don't get through things terribly fast. So every time I finish a book and then start a new one, we'll just film a video. So hopefully that's all right. Like I said, it's not as aesthetically pleasing as having a giant stack, but maybe one day I will get there. Thank you guys so much. If you are new, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, and hopefully I will see you all in another video. Bye, everybody.